Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Look who it is. He's alive, bro. I've been alive. I've just been unable to stream. I have been in an undisclosed location this last week. How is hopeful fitting in? Uh, I mean, good. You know how that do be happening. I had like one of my really. I had like one of my. I guess people have these when you're a streamer or something where like you get some like not like special treatment, but you get to like do some really cool shit. I had that happen this last week, which unfortunately was when apparently there's a bunch of crazy ass news going on. I had a very rewarding week, learned a lot. Wait, when do we get turbo boosted? Bro, that sounds like dude, turbo boosting your gear sounds like what I would call it. Max was brainwashed by Ian to sell the community on the new Dinar system. Man, people are fucking mad about that. Understandable. So you were the one making the owners not draft Shedeur Sanders. Wait, didn't the Browns draft another quarterback already? Yeah, they did. They drafted another quarterback in this draft ahead of Shedeur Sanders. I mean, that is so weird. Also, Mike Ybarra had a totally brain dead tweet about Oblivion. Oh, I didn't. We can look at all that. You guys got to get me caught up on the last week. Here's what I think happened. I think the management was drafting players like the GM and everything for the first 3 rounds. And I'm pretty sure Shedeur Sanders was still available in round 5 and I think the owner sent a little call down there. I mean, he's a steal at 5. I mean, bro, he was a steal in the second round. That's not the point. But like, I just think the dynamics of that are so crazy because like, I think obviously the GM didn't select him, the coach didn't select him, the owner did, and like now they drafted two rookie quarterbacks in the same camp. And like Shedeur knows that he's like the second pick or whatever. I just think it's like that just sounds like a nightmare locker room situation. Who knows though? It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, guys, so I've been I heard about Oblivion and I looked into it and it just doesn't seem like a game I would find interesting. I never played Skyrim. It's not my shit. No nostalgia. Doesn't seem that great. However, I did play 3 hours of that Expedition 33 game last night. And it's only been 3 hours, but that might be one of the best games I've ever played, and I'm going to play the absolute shit out of that game. That first of all, I love turn-based games. I always have. And it's just simply the best combat in a turn-based game ever. It's not close. It's like Souls-like turn-based, but it's like the turn-based combat's actually goated. And you want to know what's something, if you guys watch my stream, you might find this fucking insane, but bro, I'm not skipping cutscenes right now. And not like I'm not like thinking about it, but usually when I'm bored of a story, I just hit the skip cutscene, and I do that for literally every game I ever play. And I'm kind of locked in on the story a little bit, which is weird. That like doesn't happen. And on top of that, some of the real stream heads may know that I'm like I did like choral singing when I grew up. It was a love of mine. I got I went to college for it, sang as an adult for a bit. So like I listen to that music for leisure. Like I enjoy that shit. I really like it. And that game's soundtrack is like right up my alley, bro. They have like basically choral music is the soundtrack for the game, and it slaps. So like it's pretty much, I think that game was like made in a lab for me. Crazy. It looks like Final Fantasy, bro. Now, I'm not a Final Fantasy hater. I actually have quite enjoyed a few Final Fantasy games. So this is not coming from like a term. I know some people who are like really terminally online have been like Final Fantasy wishes it was this game or something. Like I don't have anything against Final Fantasy, but yo, this game's combat, 360 windmill dunk machine gun destroys Final Fantasy. The combat in this game is so much better than any Final Fantasy game, and it's so close too, but it's just so much better. Bro, getting the timing right on a parry has never felt so good. Also, the game's legit hard. I don't know if you guys are playing on the hardest difficulty, but just by the way, I'm not a hardest difficulty purist. I don't like lose respect for you if you aren't. Right? Everyone play games the way they want. So just before I'm just putting that out there just in case you feel like you have to say you're playing on the hardest difficulty. Bro, the hardest difficulty in that game is fucking like, if you are not parrying, you cannot beat fights. So basically you don't beat a fight until you learn the parry timing, which becomes easier as the game goes on because it kind of telegraphs it the same way, but yeah, it's crazy good. Is it like Dark Souls combat then? No, it has nothing to do with Dark Souls combat. Like, think Final Fantasy turn-based. Okay, so the thing that's the most Dark Soulsy about it is just like the bonfire system. That's like the way that it's like a Souls game. But the combat is like Final Fantasy, but just way fucking better. Like the best version of it I've ever seen. Expedition 33 was released at the wrong time. It doesn't even have half the Oblivion players. I actually think arguments like that a lot of time uh don't make sense, because there's like, if you think about it like that, there's just never a good time to release a game. Like Expedition 33 and Oblivion are like completely different, not like a completely different like player base. I guess they're like kind of similar genre wise, but not really. um It's also a turn-based game, which like there's a lot of people that just hear turn-based and they're instantly like, not for me. Completely completely separate though. I am not that person. I actually love turn-based games, but also Oblivion had no release date. So like, how could Expedition 33 know when to release their game? It got fucking like just fucking dropped out of nowhere. And that's the majority of comments when people praise the game. Oh, it's turn-based game is trash. Yeah, I mean, that's fair though. Like, to some people, turn-based just totally loses them. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like for some people, PvP throws them off, or like FPS games is not their thing. Everyone has their thing, you know? Like my weakness is like, you could never catch me playing like a Mass Effect storyline focused game with like your with like the things that you say altering the trajectory of the game. I could never give a fuck about a game like that, right? But for some people that's their shit, you know? I actually learned a lot about game development very recently. I'll say with no context and cannot elaborate on why. But I do find it cool. All right, boys. Dude, were you in New York? No, but I'm going to be in New York soon. I'll give you guys the bad news for that at the end of the stream today. All right. Let's get fucking weird, right? Let's get fucking weird with it. We're here. Dinar time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we're going to talk about Dinars today. I gave my my full take on that yesterday on Twitter. Max here is what happened this week. Blizzard fumbled the bag and Shedeur slid to the 5th round. All right, yo, bro. Yeah, you guys got to catch me up. Max, you ever seen a nicer play than Marner behind the net in Game 3? Yeah, that was nasty. The between the legs little tap to Matthews in the slot. Well, he wasn't really in the slot, but yeah, that was a crazy play. I'll one up you though. That Kaprizov like mid mohawk perfect saucer pass in between the two defensemen, literally directly landing on Boldy's tape. That was like, that is as good of a pass as you can possibly make. I was playing with some pros yesterday. Well, a bunch of former pros, but one of them was ACHL guy. And dude, you really think you like play high level hockey and you play like really fast pickup games with like even some former pros or just kids who are coming back from juniors and stuff. And then every now and then Every now and then you skate with like an actual current professional hockey player at any level, by the way, not the NHL, not just any professional hockey, and you just realize what kind of levels there are, man. Like it's this guy was not even trying, not even picking his skates up off the ice, and just an absolute fucking beast. Oh wait, actually, let me text my friends right now and let them know that I'm gonna do like a early stick time. Let me message my fucking boys. Dude, you guys want me to let you know of a funny interaction that happened in my hockey team group chat? If you guys don't care, you can tell me you don't care and we don't have to talk about it, but I thought it was really funny. No, we don't care. All right, fuck it. Send it. I want to know. Tell me. Funny, good. All right, okay, I'll tell you, and then you guys can tell me at the end if you think it was funny. Okay, so, um, as you guys know, a friend of mine and someone I play hockey with a lot is Ryan Ross. He's a former, he was the songwriter for Panic at the Disco and guitarist for like their first two albums, I think. So like, thanks for the memories, that kind of shit. If you remember like old Panic at the Disco, that kind of thing. Okay, so I've played with him for a super long time. We're on a relatively newish team. And usually when that happens, he's like a really nice guy and like he never talks about it. It's like people just don't know this information, but then always eventually they find out. Um and I wasn't at the game on Thursday because I was at a thing. But I read in the group chat after someone was like, dude, Panic at the Disco, no way, that's so badass. So I was like, okay, so they found out. Um and oh, thanks for the memories. Wait, what am I thinking of? Bro, not thanks to memories. Around the same time, also really edgy name. Oh my god. Dude, this is fucking blowing my mind. I can't believe I said the wrong song. He would actually kill me if I said that. I write sins, not tragedies. Sorry, I write sins, not tragedies. Yeah, dude. You can okay. In my defense, aren't those like kind of like you could interchange one with the other? Thinking about it, old school, like very similar kind of band vibes. Literally, Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco were like boys. They were friends and like hung out and stuff, and they had similar vibes. I feel like that's a fair shake. Anyways, okay. Either way, so in the group chat, it gets thrown out that like, oh dude, Panic at the Disco, bro, I can't believe that like I had no idea, like you're the nicest dude, whatever. Okay, and then he's like, yeah dude, no problem, thanks. And then like a couple hours go by, and let me see if I can find exactly what he rips. He says something about the song High Hopes, which I think was like relatively recent. Here he goes. He goes, get the fuck out, Panic at the Disco's badass. Ryan goes, haha, thank you bro. And then he goes, High Hopes will be our official team song when we hit the ice. And I read that, and I'm like, oh no. Because, like, that's well after Ryan left the band. And, like, he didn't leave on, like, good term. Like, I don't know how him and Brendan are now. Yuri, is that his name? His last name's Yuri. I think his name's Brendan. But, like, I don't think they're, like, at least they didn't leave on the best of terms. I have no idea. It's been a long time. I don't know if they're good now. But I read that and I'm just like, oh, dude, if I'm in his position, that like shatters my soul. But the guy didn't know, and I think it got worked out. Um, but yeah, and then he rips later like, dude, this guy only likes the stuff they did after I left the band, and it was a little awkward, but also kind of funny. Anyways, was it a good story? I feel like it wasn't a good story. It wasn't enough to derail the stream. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. You guys are right. There's just some hidden lore, that's all. but as someone who's fond of Panic back in the day, it was funny, dude. If you guys are aware of or know Ryan Ross, I hope he never hears this, but he is like the most. Anyone who knows him will say this. He is, I think, genuinely the nicest person I've ever met. He's just an insanely good dude. Speaking of which, um, I'll be there for the 5:30. Max, have you ever played against Justin Bieber? He's a big skater down. Uh, yeah, I have. I've played against Justin Bieber one time. I told the stream about it, and I showed some clips from the game. This was like four weeks ago. So a bunch of people that I play with have been playing at that rink since like 2015, and apparently from like 2015 to 2019, Bieber played there every single Saturday, and like all these dudes have played with him and against him. In fact, when he was dating Selena Gomez, like Selena Gomez would just show up to the rink. But he did show up. It was actually, if you guys remember that like Celebrity All-Star Game thing that they played to support the LA wildfires out here, like the night before that, it was on a Sunday. The night before that, on Saturday, he came and just subbed for the team that I was playing against. So I did play against him. So it was pretty fun. Seems like an okay dude. I didn't talk to him too much. I fucking gave him that work though. I'll tell you that. I showed you guys that. I showed you 3 clips from that game. I took the puck from in the defensive zone, led to a breakaway goal, scored 2 other goals. I just like, dude, I don't know why, but whenever he got the puck, I'm just like, dude, this guy's a pop star. I'm about to just, there ain't no way this guy's getting past me. Did you win? Yeah, we won. He scored though at the end. Kind of a nice goal too. Max, since you've had some encounters with people who are more mainstream famous, bro, I'm not famous at all. I'm like an extremely niche internet famous person. Have you ever ran into someone from that higher crowd that says they've watched your stream or know of anyone who does watch your stream who's mainstream famous? So I met David Harbour, the like he was in he was in a few Marvel movies. He was in Stranger Things. He's Hellboy. Um, he he like I did that stream with him that you guys maybe remember at the beginning of Dragonflight, but like he had mentioned in that stream that he was like had watched the Race World first and was aware and was gonna potentially like come out to like the TL facility. Um, I think that's probably the closest. I don't think anytime I've met anyone who's like remotely famous, they usually have no idea who I am. Oh, I guess like maybe Shroud. Does Shroud count? Like Shroud's a good friend of mine now, but like before I ever met Shroud or Shroud was my friend, I thought Shroud was the GOAT, you know? Like I mean, I watched him in everything you all did, right? And I just thought he was like a sick streamer, cool gamer, and then like the one time I met Shroud, he like knew all about the race and knew all about me, and that was like crazy to me. No other streamers don't count. Okay. I mean, I think that's like kind of close though, right? I mean, like okay, well, I guess that's my closest answer. That's the most conventionally famous person that was like aware of my stuff, but I guess him being a streamer is kind of like not fair. Shroud is closer to mainstream famous than Max. Dude, it's not okay. I've been out with him in public, like not at his house, but in public a few times, and one was at Universal. And just to give you an idea, like he got stopped. Like, I mean, it was okay. I got recognized exactly 0 times, which is like a normal day for me, and just like basically everyone that walked by us was looking at him. So they were like all recognizing him, and like a couple people asked for photos, but and it was in like a 10-minute walk basically where we were actually out among people. It's not even close. Anyways, I forgot to message my My boy. My boy. And then we'll talk about WoW stuff. Max, would you have challenged the goaltender interference? That challenge was so stupid. Here you play a little hockey. How do you play? Are you on a team that's in like a league or division, or are you just guys a bunch of teams? I play everywhere around the city. I play multiple times a day. I play basically any pickup game, stick time, or league in the entire city of Los Angeles that you can possibly play in. I'm a complete degenerate. Um, Oh, someone asked a question about WoW, so we can use this to segue back into WoW. Something I've always wanted to know. If you're slamming a boss during the race and pull 100, you accidentally discover a massive bug mid-pull. Do you call for a wipe, kill the boss, and how do you report it to Blizzard? Okay, so anytime and you guys should know this too, because I've seen other guilds run into this issue. If a boss ever randomly stops working, you can absolutely kill that boss. Um, and it's fair beans. Like you're chilling. Uh, in the race, it's I okay, so this happened once. We were doing Stormwall blockade in Battle of Dazar'alor, and the boss didn't work. The ads weren't moving, and it was completely bugged. And Blizzard, we told Blizzard about it. They're like, "Yes, we are aware of the bug," and they were like, "But this is on us. You guys can kill the boss." We decided not to, and we went to bed. It was near the end of our raid time anyway, but we could have stayed up and killed it. And the reason why was we were like the villains in the race world first before we started streaming because everyone was like a Method fan because they could watch them. So like the last thing we wanted to have happen is that we kill Stormwall Blockade and we release our video for it and the boss is completely bugged. I just feel like that would have caused a bunch of controversy. So there is one time where we deliberately avoided doing this. But in general, I think it's okay for you to do. In the race, it's weird because like, I mean, this happened on Anduin. We didn't realize that it was bugged on Anduin, but like we did kill a boss that like one of the mechanics was basically not working, and then afterwards Blizzard had to like leave it that way for other guilds to kill it, which actually hurt us quite a bit. Fuck. I gotta ask someone something. Oh, I think she might have went shopping. 1 second. Be right back. All right, 1 second, boys. I gotta go put this computer, like an old computer of mine, in my car because I'm like gonna give it to my friend later, and if I don't do it now, I'm just definitely gonna forget. So I'm gonna do that real quick. It'll take me like probably a minute, but that doesn't stay on there at all. Wow. I'm back. That wasn't that long. It was maybe a little longer than a minute, but you know. All right, boys. What do we talk about first? Apparently, there's like a housing post we can look at. There's the big Dinar word. What shall we dive into first? Wait, what? One of the more awaited features of the Flames Radiance Renown was the 10 titles you could earn, but most of the titles not make life. Oh, okay. Dinars, Mythic Plus versus Mythic Raiders. Let's talk about gear entitlement. Let's start with an easy subject. Yeah, it's super easy. Okay. What's the best way to start with this? All right, let's talk about expectations. Do you guys remember when Plunderstorm released? And I think the product they released was like super cool, different, surprisingly really well made with no testing. But it may not have been for everyone, but if it was something you were remotely interested in, it was awesome. But they made a big mistake. They like released this roadmap and they had a big pirate flag on it. No one really knew when it was, and it was kind of announced eventually when that was going to happen. And so, I don't know, maybe some people took off work or otherwise got excited, and they were like, there's some new WoW content today for retail. It's on the fucking roadmap. I'm so here for it. And then it got announced that it was a Battle Royale thing. And some people in WoW want nothing to do with PvP. And it just, their expectations got up. And they were really mad, mainly because it was just something they didn't want. And then there's a whole other discussion of like, you know, like people felt like they were rewards in the game, so they had to get them, which means they were forced to do something they hated, which there's a lot of holes in that argument. But the main reason people were mad about Plunderstorm is they were excited for some new WoW content, and then that new WoW content was completely different than anything they've gotten before. So it made them really upset. It was not what they were expecting. Expectations let down. Okay, so Dinars get released recently. I think if you look at this from like how Dinars have been released and the way they've talked about them, Dinars initially came out in the first season of Shadow, or first Fated season in Shadowlands. And what they did was they gave you a normal piece of gear, and then you had to do heroic and mythic enough to get like an upgrade item to create that item and make it mythic. So it literally did require mythic raid, to get a mythic raid item. Now, I think in the second time they released this, in Amirdrasil Faded, so Dragonflight Faded, I don't know if that restriction was there, actually. I could be wrong. I actually just straight up did not play a single minute. I don't even know if I logged in that patch, but I don't think there was a restriction. They were like, you know what? It's season 4. Fuck it. Then they had like 3 interviews. And in all of those interviews, they were like, we're interested in the idea of putting Dinars in a regular season, but we want to know how to approach it. Because the reason they ever existed was because you're doing 3 raids at once. They're not all available. It's hard to get a specific piece of gear. So we want to add it into the game, but we want to be careful. And then even more recently, Skarzard talked about this, I believe, on an interview with me and Dratnos. And he talks about how, you know, we're going to bring Dinars in. It may not be what you guys like, but it's really hard for us to give you something and then take it away. So we want to make sure that with Dinars, which is like giving you free gear in a game that's about loot acquisition, is like a really scary prospect in a regular season. So they want to give, well, at least this is their words, they want to give it to you, but they're going to be really, really careful in how they implement it. Like an example of this is the Catalyst, right? Does everyone remember when the Catalyst first came out and all of the complaints are like, this is just too late. Like, we get this way too late in the season. It's not good enough. And they explain their design philosophy behind that as like, we can't make it instant and then move it back if it's too much, you know? So we want to put it there. So I think the first thing about Dinars is if anyone feels like this isn't good enough, it's kind of made to be this is the safest possible option for them to do. So it'll probably change over time, just in general. Now, as far as it being about Raid or Mythic Plus, I actually don't understand personally. Actually, let's just keep explaining it before I give you my own opinion. I haven't really done that yet. So Mythic Plusers, I think, going back to expectations, Mythic Plusers, I think it's just been the expectation because this is how it was the most recent time in the Fated season, which is fair. But again, this is not a Fated season, but they got to just get free Mythic loot. So I think the expectation for Mythic Plusers is we don't want to raid. We like Mythic Plus because I can just log on with my friends or I can pug it in the group finder and I don't have to get 20 people around and follow a schedule. Mythic Plus is how I like to play the game. Raiding completely misses me. It's not my shit. I don't want to do it. But some of the best gear is in Raid, and I want to do the best I can in Mythic Plus. So what the fuck's up with that? I just want everything from Mythic Plus, right? So you were like, okay, free Raid trinkets. I've experienced this before. Less than a year and a half ago, actually. I experienced it. So this is what we're going to get. We get Dinars. What Dinars means to me is I get free Mythic loot. And those people obviously are really mad. Also, famously really loud. Think like Mythic Plusers in general are just like a very overly represented vocal group, just in all places you can hear or see people's reaction to things. So I think that reaction has been very, very loud. Blizzard decided that this is not just you get your free raid trinkets. This is bad luck protection for people who raid. Now, do we need that? There's some need for specifically that. I'm not talking about it potentially being better, but like there's definitely stories of people killing Mythic Silken Court for like 2 months and not getting a Spy Masters, right? So like just using that one example and putting it over every tier ever, having some kind of dinar late in the patch specifically for a boss you've killed to get an item that you did not loot off the boss yet has some value for sure. And clearly that is their idea for Dinar in a regular season, or at least their initial idea. But I have a few, so that's the story of like what exactly it is. And I'll get some of your all's takes on it in a second. Cause I haven't heard any feedback about this. I have not heard a single streamer rant about this. I have been very busy this past week doing stuff, literally not at my house. So I'm kind of just going through it right now from what I understand of it. So I'll hear your all's perspectives in a second. But one thing I don't really understand is if you're doing this for raid bad luck protection, So, hey, I've killed a boss so many times. Why haven't I gotten a Spy Masters yet? Okay, I can use a Dinar on that. That has use. Okay, why does that not apply to Mythic Plus trinkets? So Mythic Plus trinkets, specifically this patch, are not as powerful as they usually are. And that also is another reason why this is so controversial at the moment. Like, for example, if every Mythic Pluser had fucking banger trinkets for Mythic Plus right now, they wouldn't be as mad about the fact that they did not get the free raid loot they were expecting in specifically this patch. But so maybe that's something else to talk about. But like, why do Mythic Plusers, like the only way to get a Mythic track trinket for Mythic Plus is to get, like, I think statistically over an entire season is like decently lucky, but over in the first 2 months of a season, which is when most people play the patch, you have to get extremely lucky to get like the good trinket on Mythic track. It's like a 1 out of 90, right? It is most seasons. I don't know what it is this season, but it's like really, really rare. And I think it's even more rare because it's not even just like 1 out of all of the Mythic Plus pool of things you can get. I think it also, some of those slots can turn into tier, correct? So like it's even less than that because like a 1 out of whatever chance your like vault slot turns into like a Mythic tier option. So it's like extremely rare to get them. So like my only question would be if these puzzling cartel chips exist, whatever, to get raid items for the reason of, hey, I've been doing enough of this content, but I haven't looted the item I want yet. My my strongest reaction to this, and I even tweeted this a few weeks ago, is like how does that not include Mythic trinkets? Because there actually isn't a deterministic way to get them other than pure RNG. So I feel like that personally is a huge miss. Now, as far as the rest of it, so just original implementation. If I were to make a guess right now, 6 months from now, looks different. I think the next time they implement this, or maybe even this patch, they'll lift some of those restrictions. Because I understand there's protecting like the sanctity of loot and how you obtain it, but I also just in general think like giving people a Mythic track item of a specific trinket that they want at a late point in the season when not a lot of people, not as many people play, and in fact the people who are still playing at the end of the season are usually like degenerate Mythic Plus grinders. Just like give those people their trinkets, you know? I don't know. I personally feel like it would be okay to do that, but I also am not surprised at all. Like, I feel like if you've actually listened to them in interviews and you knew how Dinars initially worked in the first, like, Fated Shadowlands season, it's not super, like, groundbreaking that they decided to go this route. I feel like they've been telling you they were going to do this. Because it's just simply not a Fated season. So you already know for a fact that you're going to get a lesser version of what you got in Fated, because like a Fated season and regular season are so different in so many ways, but the main one being there aren't 3 raids out, right? Where you have to farm something and they rotate, right? Like, I also wonder what the reaction would have been if specifically in the last Fated season, they decided to do what they did in the first Fated season, where they just didn't give it to you for free. Because people are like, well, the last time we got it for free. But it's like, yeah, but that was also a completely different season. Like, it's a Fated season. You're not getting Fated season Dinars in a regular season. You're getting whatever regular season Dinar is. But you don't know what it is. You can only guess based on what they've been saying about it, which has been, we're going to be very conservative. We're going to give it to you very late, and we're going to be very conservative with how we roll it out, because you can't roll it back, right? So I'm not saying I'm defending it. I'm just saying it's just simply not surprising that it rolled out this way at all, at least if you've been paying attention. All right. I guess I've kind of said a decent bit about it. Is there any other... Do I feel strongly about it in any other way, really? Let me think. All right, now I guess I'll just like hear some feedback from you guys. I really don't understand why people are expecting free Mythic raid loot, even as someone who pugs heroic each season. It's because you don't understand the extreme aversion that full-time Mythic Plus players have with doing raid ever. I think that's the missing system. Like, there's a lot of people who Mythic Plus that simply don't want to raid, and mostly because the hardest difficulty requires 4 times as many players as you currently have in your group that you play with. So those, and if you're reading negative feedback about Dinars, I promise you, like 80 to 90% of it, it's not coming from heroic raiders who want free gear. It's coming from the Mythic Plus community mainly, I would say. Max, you making this about Mythic Plus players versus raiders just isn't fair. Was they making this about Mythic Plus players versus raiders? I feel like I haven't really been slamming that. Have I been making? I don't think so. The gap between the heroic trinket and the mythic trinket isn't all that big. If they could give the other gear for, isn't it going to be bigger soon though with the turbo boost? Max, do you think Blizzard did this just to sell tokens to buy boosts? No. That's a big, like, they're doing this to increase playtime metrics for shareholders kind of take. Although, this might be good for our gold intake, right? Because if you're a Mythic Pluser and you're expecting Dinars, now you might feel like to get the trinket you want, you need to buy a boost for every boss. So yeah, if you're like looking, I think we already have like perma-booked boost basically, just being who we are. But if you aren't us, bro, you're going to be eating crazy. Probably not intentionally. Yeah, they asked intentionally. I'm not saying will this result in more boosting. The answer is probably. I don't think majorly, but it would definitely boost it, yeah. But did I think Blizzard did that to actively sell WoW tokens? I mean, you're just asking for my opinion. Like, definitely not. I think that's like super conspiracy brained. But also, I respect the fuck out of that, and I'm sure some people do think that. All good. What is it? I agree with all your points. Okay, first of all, W chat, just right off the bat. I think it's weird they're happy for Delvers, LFR, normal players to get heroic trinkets, but not happy with AOTC players getting Mythic Track items. I play exclusively for Mythic Plus, and we already have massively less access to Mythic Track items and Vault RNG, and have the potential to get absolutely fucked each week and just have a character fall behind. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, one thing that the least surprising thing in all of this is how Mythic Plusers, like people who Mythic Plus is their main or only content, have reacted to this information. It is not surprising that you are mad, and also fully valid, I think. Max, to buy the Galley ring, do you need to kill or buy Galley, or just have 8 out of 8 Mythic? Couldn't tell you. Buying Galley is going to be hard, though, because you could probably only sell like 3 Galley slots right now in general. Like, if you really wanted to lock the fuck in, you could probably 17-man it. But if you did that, you're going to reserve all 3 of those spots for people who are buying mounts before you do it for, like, basically, because 3 mounts drop, you're going to need to be able to sell more than 3 spots to realistically sell to people who just want the ring. Because the mount obviously makes a lot more gold. Max, you need to look at this from a perspective of someone who works full-time, but wants to enjoy the best gear also. Those who cannot commit to raid teams due to families and real IRL work. We don't have time to sit and try to set up raids. We don't have a chance to pug full mythic clears, which is impossible anyway. Yeah, I feel like, so first of all, I obviously don't personally have that perspective, right? But I feel like I'm trying to understand it. Like, I don't think in any of the arguments I've said so far that, I feel like I've been pretty, like, okay with Mythic Plus. Like, I get why Mythic Plusers feel the way they do. I'm not saying, like, you guys don't get it, right? Which is kind of, I think, what you're, you know what I'm saying? But you get the best gear for the content you're playing. I think one of the biggest issues with gearing in this game is that you always want difficulty to match the reward you're getting. And that is true very early in the season, but becomes less true as time goes on, right? So like in week 1 and 2, week 3 and 4, whatever, the hardest thing you could possibly do is full clear Mythic. It is way fucking harder than everything. It's harder than Mythic Plus. Well, I mean, let's just leave PvP out of it. Like, it's a completely separate game, but like, That is the hardest thing, and it gives the best loot. That's the only way you can get a mythic Jaster diamond early in the season, right? But the problem is that difficulty to reward ratio does not continue for the rest of the season. Raid gets significantly easier and easier, and people get into higher and higher keys. And the people who are doing Mythic Plus all the time and are getting into higher and higher keys, you are eventually doing something, albeit repetitive, you are doing something that is similar difficulty at least to what Mythic Raid is requiring of you, regardless of the player count difficulty argument, right? So then it like throws the whole reward balance thing off. Another weird thing is that like raiders have to compete early in a season, but the Mythic Plus competition is later in the season. Not the literal competition MDI, but like live key score title shit, you know. So that throws a little bit of a thing out of balance. I've seen a lot of raider takes that are just purely just like, bro, like basically there's raiders who just hate that they have to farm Mythic Plus for gear, and there are Mythic Plusers that hate having to farm raid for gear. Both of them exist. Raiders have to spam Mythic Plus at the beginning of the patch, and all of those players are like, dude, seeing Mythic Plusers, like, where are some tweets that I've seen? I saw one from like Twisted that was like, bro, Mythic Plusers are actually now becoming like worse than PvPers when it comes to just complaining about fucking everything or something like that. Like, dude, like I feel like this, if anything, has just been another like Raiders and Mythic Plusers just being more divided, which is kind of, that's the opposite of what Blizzard wants. Blizzard wants their ideal player to do everything, right? They said they wanted these Dinars to be bad luck protection. That's what it is. Obviously, we'd like free BIS, but that's not what they said it would be. Yeah, we've already talked about that. That is correct. That if you've been paying attention to what they've been saying about this for the past couple months, what they released is not surprising, but it's also not surprising that everyone's mad about it, right? I've used this example before, but like, everyone was complaining about AUG for 2 months, and it was all everyone was talking about. And then the first week it was released, everyone was posting screenshots of random, like, super low-key group leaders kicking out AUG evokers because they were doing no damage on details because they thought they were devastation evokers that weren't pressing their buttons, right? Basically, the moral of the story is people don't really pay attention to discourse leading up to something. Like, this stream might run into it a lot, but, like, a lot of people who just Mythic Plus all day probably aren't, like, paying attention to what developers say in interviews about Dinars, where this has been pretty clearly communicated that this would be the route they were going. That doesn't really change anything. It's just basically whether people are mad now or were mad when they said it. How do you feel about removing Mythic track and balancing the game around Heroic track as the max? That's an entirely different... That's an interesting conversation, but I don't think one that... It's just like a super huge tangent off this. Let's be honest, 90% of the community gets their news via word of mouth. They don't read or pay attention at all. Yeah, that's true, which is also extremely based. Max, do you think they should add Mythic track gear to high Mythic Plus keys? I think we're not too long away from that. So, one thing you've noticed this season, if you do a lot of high keys, we've talked about this on the podcast a lot, is players that normally were like doing just their Mythic Plus goal for the season was, I'm going to get portals, which is a 10 now, used to be a 20, and then I'm dipping. So like there wasn't really a bridge to like when high keys started to feel really good at what used to be 25s and what are now 15s. But since they added that achievement that's kind of like a stepping stone, and since they increased the crest you get from the key level, and since they increased resilient keys, what you'll hear from people is that you are... you're seeing a lot more people in the group finder, and you're seeing a much more thriving community of specifically not just high keys, but the road to high keys, which will obviously have more high key players exist. Like what used to happen is people did 10s, the reward stopped. Why would I do above a 10? And then they never got to the point via just like wanting to play the game, because like people are reward focused, right? But now like they've given you awards and achievements and titles, and increased gear and crests drops, like gear drops and crest drops, to where like it actually makes sense to do that if you're capable of it. So it actually gives you a reason to play more. So that this season I think went really well. I'm saying all of this to say, I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me if like 2 years from now, the first time you time a like 15 or a 16 of a key, it like gives you a mythic track item, or like once a week from a 15 you can get a mythic track drop, and it like it'll be of the dungeon you want, you know. So like if you really want a trinket from this dungeon, you make sure your 15 is there, or maybe like once every 2 weeks or something. I'm just trying, they would obviously roll it out in a super conservative way and then build it out, but that kind of does go along with the difficulty curve, right? Remember how I said raids are like the hardest thing at the beginning of the patch, which is unassailably true. So it gives you the best gear, but like later on the raid becomes easier and easier. Like at a certain point, this might offend some people, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Like getting cutting edge near the end of a WoW season right now is like purely a battle of attrition. Like you just, if you're just in Mythic and like showing up to raid times, you're rewarded for just being there. Most seasons. Some bosses are not that way, but like I was watching like Mythic Fyrak, like Race to World last season. Like bro, that boss was so, or Mythic Ansarek, I mean, was like so fucking easy. Like the entire difficulty of the fight was removed basically. It's just if you're just in the raid and doing Mythic for 6 months, they're just going to give you that shit, which is good. And like putting in the time, or pretty close to that. So and that still gives you the best gear, and like Mythic Plus never does. But like people at near the end of a patch keep pushing into higher and higher and higher and higher keys, which at a certain point becomes, it's very different content because you can just keep doing it. But that doesn't really make sense that it doesn't reward Mythic Track items. Also, there's a very clear gap in this game that I'm interested on how they didn't solve this with Dinars, which is a really good opportunity to. Is there's actually no way to like try to farm specific Mythic Track and Mythic Plus items. You should be able to do it with Dinars, but you can't. So like this like late season, you do a 15 or a 16 of a key and you get a Mythic Track item from it. Wouldn't even be that bad because it's not like you're swimming in Mythic Track, Mythic Plus gear that's good anyway. Or allowing it to like be an upgrade thing. I don't know. Or like at a certain point, if you do a high enough mythic key, like twice a season, like you do a 16 and it gives you a track skip. And what it means is that you can pick any Mythic Plus item on a heroic upgrade track and just upgrade it to Mythic. That would kind of be like Mythic Plus Dinars, right? Because like everyone at one point will just simply get the hero track item for Mythic Plus that they want, even though it can be kind of hard early in the season, depending on the dungeon. Yeah, who knows? Max, why do you think they include LFR, normal, and heroic all in one pot for the Dinar? Why is only the mythic the special one? That isn't surprising to me at all. I've seen a few people mention that as like that's like a very damning piece of evidence against them or something like that. I just feel like at this point, if you're still playing the season, you're basically just looking for mythic track upgrades, like no matter who you are. Right? So it's like clearly the like LFR, normal, and heroic are all very similar at this point in the season, and mythic isn't. And I feel like it's just really not surprising that it rolled out that way. Personally, like I think people have been using the word nothing burger, which I find very funny and I want to use more. I would say the argument of like, why do you think they include LFR, normal, and heroic all in one pot and then not mythic? I think that's a big nothing burger argument. I don't think there's anything of value there. Max, what are your thoughts on bringing back personal loot and also bringing back RNG Warforged item like in Legion? Completely removing the upgrade stuff. I don't like that at all. I think that's like significantly worse than what we have now. They design raid around heroic rating. Why is Dinar designed around doing mythic rating? I think you're conflating two different arguments from two different things. They design raid bosses initially as a heroic boss, and then they make them easier for normal, make them harder for mythic. They don't design them for mythic and then make them easier and then make them easier again. But that's not them. That's like some, yeah. It's like a different thing. Skarzard plays the game for sure, guys. Like, for sure. Bro, Skarzard fucking loves the game. And he loves his raid team. That is, I know that for a fact. Nagura has a video where Ian asks her what she would think about a Mythic Plus renown system. Any thoughts? No, not really. That sounds good. I mean, there's like a raid. I mean, I think you could just convert the raid renown track to just like a PvE renown track, and it would be basically the same thing, where you just add some more Mythic Plus rewards, I guess. But also, just having a raid and Mythic Plus renown track also seems totally fine. I don't see an issue with that whatsoever. Max, I think a lot of the token conspiracy theories are stemming from the fact that it's not really bad luck protection if you just have to kill the boss once. I mean, what would the alternative be? You have to kill it a certain amount of times, you know? Like, oh, the argument of bad luck protection doesn't work because then instead of requiring you to kill the boss once, you should have to kill it enough times to where realistically the bad luck protection would matter. It's like, nah, it could just be once, you know? I think you're looking at it like the inverse way. They still want to force people into raid because they spend so much time making it. I mean, most games like shepherd you in the direction of their design, right? Like Lost Ark, for example, they give you rewards from raid, they give you rewards from Guardian raids. They like very clearly, in the way they want to give you power, they make you do certain content over and over again. So in a way, by giving you certain rewards, any game that is created that at least gives you a choice. They are trying to shepherd you in a direction of like the design vision of their game. So that's not surprising. I mean, it's probably not surprising if Blizzard is making 20-man raid content, so something that requires a ton of people to be successful. And ideally, you'd want good skill parity. To make that true over thousands and thousands of guilds is you need basically anyone who's playing WoW and doing PvE to feel like they should want to Mythic Raid, right? Also, if you're a game developer and you're making content that you think is like the best part of your game, it would totally make sense to give you rewards that lead you in the direction of doing the thing that they're spending time on or that they're building the game around. That's not surprising. But also, this all goes back to like who is mad at this and why are they mad at this, right? The Mythic Plus player who thinks 20 people is too much. The schedule of 20 people or even just being on a schedule at all, I don't fuck with that. Mythic Plus, I can log on and play anytime. That's my shit, you know? Being anti-raid is like almost a given if that is the case, you know? That's not surprising. And it's not even a want. Yeah, it's a good point. You said, I don't want to, I have to. Some people literally can't commit to a schedule, so it's the only way they can play WoW. So any kind of frustration or aversion from those people, which we already talked about earlier for a while, totally valid. Completely get it. The argument for bad luck protection only holds up if they give Mythic Plus players Dinar for Mythic Plus Mythic Track loot. Yeah, correct. Which is why... Does anyone else think it's absolutely insane that Blizzard has not done that? Like, I don't tweet much, so maybe I can find this in there. I had a fire tweet yesterday. Look at this. Puzzling cartel chips. This is a month ago. Puzzling cartel chips arrive in 11.1.5, letting players buy raid gear from vendors, include dungeon trinkets, then W. It's so obvious. Like, if you're going to make things for bad luck protection for raid, which does have some value, why does it not exist for Mythic Plus, where you literally can't obtain a Mythic Track item of something you want unless you just get extremely lucky? It's very dumb. We're just repeating ourselves now. We've said all of this. Might be a sign to move on. Max, talk about the player housing post. Well, I haven't seen it, so I would have to read it first. More and earlier puzzling cartel chip loot with no changes to myth track acquisition. Blizzard has provided an update noting that they will now be available earlier on May 13th, and players will get 3 items up from 2, but there are no plans to change the myth track reacquisition on the system. Oh boy, let's check. Shall we? Shall we delve into the comments? Mythic Plusers are not having a good day whatsoever. Okay. Careful, that web will summon Nerubians. Yeah, I wonder how much of the like people mad that they're not getting mythic items are people who are raiding but are just not doing high enough level raiding, so heroic raiders, AOTC raiders, or mythic plusers. I think it's all mythic plus. We already talked about this, but it also just totally makes sense why it would be mythic plus people. Max, going into the Wowhead comments should count as self-harm. Yeah. It's like the Dratnos Zoo Twitter thing. Max, it also sucks for people that do cutting edge but play alts. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's yeah, why? By the way, I feel like some people have joined late. I made the argument that it's late enough in the season, just to be clear, because I feel like some people feel like I'm trying to explain it from their perspective. I think at this point in the season, giving people free mythic raid trinkets or whatever is like totally fucking fine. Like, I get the bad luck protection thing, but I think it would be fine for them to do that. Because, like, if you're still playing the game, like, who fucking cares? You know? Just give them the shit. So I'm on your side. I'm just the only thing I was pointing out is that this was not surprising because they've kind of stated in all of their interviews that they were going to do something like this. And also, I bet, you know, I know you want it to be changed now, but if you complain enough, they change things. So keep complaining. You know, they will. I guess I'll just end it by saying the catalyst used to be 8 weeks into the patch. You know, they're always going to release something in a really conservative state, and then because it's much easier to roll it forward than roll it back. There's not enough Windwalker monks on the planet to complain loud enough for them to fix us, so it's so over. Yeah, I kind of stopped playing too. God, Windwalker's so fun though, but the target capping is crazy. All right, where is the housing post? I guess. Did I already pass it? Legacy, is it this one? Legacy achievements, grants, player housing rewards. Okay. Blizzard has announced many sources of decorations, which include just about everything, including legacy achievements. Legacy achievements, which are retroactive, all non-gathering professions, housing-specific objectives, solo questing, auction house, dungeon raids. Okay. Welcome home, adventurers. At the end of our previous article, we asked a few questions regarding the source of decorations and how professions would fit in. So today we're going to answer those questions, talk through our philosophies for housing rewards, and provide a few more details on the decoration economy. Before starting, we wanted to state our usual disclaimer. This is still work in progress. Signing up for guild principles, setting up for guild principles, guiding principles. We've already talked about this a little bit. I just want to see what kind of stuff they're thinking of for, like, collectors. Okay, I just realized I don't want to read this because I'm, like, already scrolling through it. If only someone had a short video that summarized all of this. But Dratnos' video is probably him reading and reacting, which would just take more time, and I don't really have to eat right now. But basically what it sounds like is, what, by getting legacy achievements, by going and doing old content, you will have ways to unlock or upgrade what you are able to put in your house. And that's just like, just another level of like adding to the collector's dream, you know? Yeah, housing's going to be huge, man. Housing's going to be like, oh, do you remember when we were looking at those charts for like when people were playing WoW that they released at Gamescom like a couple years ago? Maybe it was last year, where like it kind of showed the sub number jump when Classic came out, and then the Shadowlands one, and then the Legion one, and stuff like that. I guessed that the War Within would have a similar jump to like Shadowlands, Legion, or COVID. I was wrong about that, but the logic was very simple. It was that every other expansion, regardless of the context, had massive jump, and then the in-between expansion had baby jump, and then it had massive jump. So my logic was purely every other expansion seems to pop off, and this is one of those, and it's the beginning of the World Soul Saga, and it kind of didn't, but I think the next expansion has a large chance to, because I just think if they market this heavily with this is WoW plus player housing, every person who's ever quit WoW that was even remotely a collector is going to lock the fuck in. They're locking in hard. So, W housing. But hard to get excited about something that doesn't exist yet. Wait, when are we actually looking at like alpha and beta for the next expansion? Can we get super tinfoily? I'm going to need you guys to get some dates for me real quick. Can you help me with some Dragonflight dates? So does anyone have Dragonflight release date? I can probably find that. I'm going to need the release date of every patch. So November 28th, 2022. Okay. When was Aberrus patch? So patch number 2. Dragonfly, or maybe 11.1.0 release date. Oh, is it 10.1? Shit. Okay, May 2nd, 2023. Is that correct? That sound right? All right. Oh, are all the Europeans getting mad about how I'm writing dates? I will, guys, let me tell you, or by the way, by Europeans, I mean everyone else in the world. I'm just mentioning Europeans because you guys are the ones that always bring it up. You're the ones who get all mad about it. But I do know it's not a pyramid. Like, why is it like not year, month, day, or day, month, year? Like, I understand it's illogical, but it's the only thing I've ever known, so every other system is bad. Anyways, moving on. Okay, and then we need 10.2.0. November 7th. Oh, it was right after BlizzCon, right? All right, and then when does this is going to be hard to find out, but does anyone remember when we all went live with the alpha of the War Within? This might actually be hard to find out. I could check my YouTube channel. Actually, by the time I check this, you guys are going to find out for me. But we're going to look anyway. Okay, videos, scroll back. Okay, 1 year ago. Frost's first impression. Wait, here we go. New hero talent tree's first impression. We probably learned that from Alpha. This looks like none of this is looks like the very first Alpha thing is but that might be before the Alpha though. Is mid-April 2024. Yeah, I just want to get a date though, you know? Oh, it was after Plunderstorm, right? Here, the War Within Day 1 Alpha News. Here we go.
Where the f do we start? There's class changes.
Okay, this is it. Give me a date. This was on April 19th, 2024. Okay. Sweet. So what kind of a track are we on now? So this was basically I'm having a hard time doing this. December to May is what? 6 months? Is that like roughly 6 months? Okay, and then this is roughly 6 months, right? Yeah. And then what do we got here? I mean, well, like 5.5? No, a little longer. Same thing, right? Because it's not 11/28. It's like, look at the roadmap. Nah, bro. Weren't they increasing release speed for the next few Xbox? You want to know what's really funny? They never mentioned a single fucking word about that. That was purely just speculated by the community. What they said was we want the World Soul Saga, which is starting in 2020, the end of 2024, right? We want the World Soul Saga to end by 2026, and people just did math as like you need to do 9-month expansions, but yeah, who knows? So this is Dragonflight. So roughly what, 6 months in between everything here? So if we follow the same trajectory as Dragonflight, the War Within. I thought Metzen or whatever said that at BlizzCon. They were doing faster patches. Well, I mean, they've done the same. Well, let's see if they've done the same patches. Let's do some fucking research. When did this game come out? The War Within. August 26th. Okay. Remember early access beginning this expansion? How stupid was that? When did this season come out? Season 2. We can look it up. February 25th. Okay. I mean, aren't they following the same patch cadence as Dragonflight? This date format is criminal. Yeah, I get it, guys. You live in Europe. We are aware. Okay, so not Europe, the rest of the world. We already talked about this. I know the rest of the world uses better date formats, and that the only reason I like mine is because it's what I'm used to. I'm just saying I always mention Europe specifically because it's exactly only you all complaining about it. All right, all good. So let's what's 6 months from now? What, 8/25? Just making this the fuck up. Probably not even a Tuesday, but you get the point. Damn, we're already moved up 3 months. By the way, would this be that's a Tuesday? Okay, we'll add one. Also, is this, am I actually doing the math right? Is this actually 6 months from February? Or is it the one thing where like 1 month is three? Wait, three. I don't know, bro. Like obviously 2 plus 6 equals 8, but I don't know. It's one of those things where, you know, you guys, okay, real ones know what I'm saying. Real one, I'm not even going to explain it. Real ones know what I'm saying right now. All right, so the alpha, this was all to find out when the alpha should come out. From, assuming this, sorry, first of all, are we all believers in that expansions from now on have 3 major patches, 3 major raids, and that's it? That being said, I highly doubt that they're going to do Fated Seasons again. Just because feedback from the first Fated season was this good, so they made a second one. And then feedback from the second season was, we don't like Fated seasons. So I doubt they'll just do it. I just doubt they'll do it again. Reptar, what the fuck, dude? He's pooping right now. Buddy, you're pooping on cam, big dog. Aw. Is he not feeling well? Buddy, it's okay. One second, I gotta clean that up. Dude, little guy, that's it's so unfortunate. He must be feeling sick. All right, all fixed up. He never poops in the house, so whenever he does, especially if I'm in the room, is like he's definitely, his stomach isn't feeling well. Okay, anyways, back to the thing. So let's say we get 6 months again projected. I can just copy this, eh? A little easier. Are we looking at a February? You know? February.
Late Feb alpha. Did I spell February wrong? Bro. Wow, I did. Not NA education, not great. Alpha is streamed. So that would make this a 22-month expansion instead of what people suggested, which was like 18. Unless it's like way faster, right? Like maybe, I mean, it's already faster just if you just assume this is all true, right? And the 2025 roadmap shows nothing about 11.3. The year ends with that weird triangle symbol, which people think is Legion Remix. Well, 11.3 wouldn't come out in 2025 anyway, even if they were doing 4 seasons. So it makes sense that it wouldn't be mentioned. Ain't no way we're going to have 12 months of 11.2. Dude, I feel like the remix thing is actually really good. Like they did that mop remix and it had some issues, but like it was their first time doing it. So like obviously the next time they do it, it'll probably be much better. But like for people who wanted to go back and get collections and also get to experience the content a little bit, I think that shit was insanely good. Like basically the only thing that was bad about it wasn't the implementation or the idea or anything like that. It was purely just quality and bugs and like fixes and stuff like that, all of which you would have. Now they've had the experience of doing this once before doing it again, so I feel like it's a slam dunk. Alpha has got to be releasing with 11.2 around it if they're going to release it that early. Yeah, I mean, this is all just projecting, but even then it's still earlier. So when would that mean a release, right? So how long was it until Alpha is streamed until release? 4 months? So then 4 months projected... Right, midnight release would be in fucking June. I mean, that kind of works. No way there is still 4 months till next patch. Yeah, there is. Dude, isn't it crazy that you think that now? But like before Dragonflight, it was so much longer than 6 months in between patches. So like you're thinking it sounds like it's going to be really long with there being like 3.5 more months in the season. But like, bro, old school WoW was just like, not even old school, like literally Shadowlands and before was like infinitely longer. Considering they said they wanted to speed up, they would release alpha and stuff way earlier. Yeah. Max, they stated that there won't be a season 4, so late January is already midnight release. It's also on the roadmap. Wait, whoa. World of Warcraft roadmap 2025. All this shows is the patch, which we know is happening. And then it doesn't show 2026. Wait, what does it say? Look at that icon at the end. Player housing by the end of the year. That's a midnight feature. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that midnight is coming out. Like, we just know, like, basically what they're saying is housing is going to come out before midnight or an earlier version of it. Right? Is that they said player housing is a midnight pre-patch feature. Okay, you might be right. I just want to quickly poll. I'm not going to put an actual poll, but I just want to hear your all's opinion. Do you guys think that the literal pre-patch for the expansion is going to happen within the year 2025? That sounds... Because isn't pre-patch normally like 4 to 6 weeks out from an expansion? I don't know about that. That I think I mean, I hope you're right. You know, woo. Actually, low key, selfishly, what I hope for is that raids happen in like November and December, out of pure selfish reasons. Like I'm just gonna completely make up numbers. These are completely made up numbers. If I streamed a Race to World First in uh any month of the year basically that isn't November or December, I would make $100. If the race just happens to happen in November and December, I would make like 300. It purely just due to advertising costing more at that time of the year. It's so insane. Why did I do all of that? Why did I make up fake numbers just to basically say you make 3 times more ad revenue in November and December. Like that that it would have saved everyone so much time if I just did that instead. But that's okay. That's okay. That's actually how you become a professional yapper. You find a way to say something really simple in a really long way while also not losing your all's interest. That's the true secret to yapping. Can you display that in a paint graph, please? No, I won't, just because you're making fun of me now. Guys, I'm going to use the next, 2 minutes of my stream to explain to you a not paid for ad. Okay, I'm not being paid to tell you this at all. But if you fuck with turn-based combat at all, if you don't, totally cool. Okay, if you don't like turn-based games, just we're chilling. That doesn't bother me. That's cool. But if you do, that new game that everyone's talking about, Expedition 33 or whatever, that game fucking slaps. It is extremely hard if you want it to be. Best turn-based combat system to ever exist. It has me not skipping cutscenes. So if you watch this stream a lot and you've seen me play variety games, you know how insane that statement is. And it was made by 30 people, which is goated. That's it. I wasn't paid at all to tell you that. I was just really enjoying the game and wanted you all to know about it. I'm sure you already do, but just to give it a nice little shout out. That sounds giga paid. Bro, do you guys want me to give you an actual ad? Bro, if you guys start memeing me for giving hashtag ad when I'm not even paying, I will do an actual ad, bro. I will fucking do it. Please give real ad. All right. Bet. Do it right fucking now. All right, guys. I want to talk to you today about Farmer's Dog. There's been a post in the chat, but I'll also just do the... I'll give you guys the link in a second. But this brand is one that I've been wanting to work with for a very long time. As you know, I have many dogs, and they eat Farmer's Dog every day, and they have for years. This was a brand where my agent reached out and was like, hey, is there any brands you want to work with? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm that important, but if I could, I'd want to work with Farmer's Dog. I'm not even making this up. And they somehow made it happen. So make sure you all buy an infinite amount of it so they think I'm really cool and want to keep sponsoring me, because it's something that I actually really believe in. It's tested on humans, real food, right? Great. Dogs love it. It's extremely customizable, 24/7 support. It has your dogs. If you ever board your dogs, all the stuff has their name on it. They give you a travel bag. It's super helpful. It's good. It's just a good thing to invest in your dog's health. I'm super happy to be working with it. So make sure you guys all, especially if you sub to my stream and you support me, make sure you all buy Farmer's Dog right now. Or else. You know what I mean? Just get in there. Here's the link. Let me double check that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep, you go to this link and order. Or else. Live taste test, I'll eat it, bro. That's what you guys get. You get a real ad because of that. You did this to yourself. Another? You guys want another? I don't have another set up, honestly, but I would do it. Yeah, even if you don't have a dog. I don't think he streams to YouTube anymore. Bro, YouTube chat, I got you with a link right here. I did not forget about you. I've read like 4 of y'all's messages today for talking points, by the way. Cat owners lose again. Dude, does Farmer's Dog make... I mean, their name is Farmer's Dog, not like Farmer's Pet Food, so I bet they don't. Max, will you be playing Expedition 33 on stream anytime soon? Okay, so that comes to my next topic, which is one you guys are not going to like. But I think you all will be happy, but not... You'll be happy for me. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I grew up. Well, I don't live there right now, but that's where I grew up. That's where my family lives. And one thing I've liked to do over the last few years is like give my family experiences and stuff they haven't had before for stuff they actually really care about. So like I took my dad to, like when the Phillies went to the World Series a few years ago for the pennant series, I like took my dad to Philly for all 3 games. And like, it was like a great moment. Like when Bryce Harper hit that home run, like we were just right behind the dugout. It was insane. Yeah, so I did that. And then my dad has always really loved horses, and he's always gone to the Kentucky Derby. We live right next to the track where the Kentucky Derby is ran. Or we don't live right next to it, but it's in town. I went to college right next to it. So I like kind of balled out this year and got like a really fancy box for the Kentucky Derby for me, my sister, mom and dad, my girlfriend, and one of my cousins. So I'll be doing that. I'll be heading there next week, and then the race is next weekend. So I'll be leaving for that. It's also the first time my girlfriend is meeting my family. So I won't be streaming next week once I leave for that, obviously. And then also right after that trip, I'll be there until like next Monday. And then we're getting on a plane and going to New York for about a week to meet her family. So I'm going to be gone for like an entire week. Which I know I was already gone for basically this entire week. That was due to some other obligation this week, which I can't really talk about. But that was something there was a reason for that. I didn't just choose not to stream. I was unable to stream. So I am like unintentionally taking a ton of time off. But then I will be streaming a lot when I come back, and hopefully there will be some content around then. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot to catch up on, but so yeah, hitting the back-to-back vacay, and that's starting next Wednesday. So you're asking me if I'm streaming Expedition 33. I think this would be the perfect game for me to stream. I fucking love this game. It's so good. I would have so much fun streaming it. But I just don't think I'm going to be able to play it. Speaking of which, what is a way that I can play Expedition 33 on the road? I'm currently playing it on my PS5, just on my couch for the vibes. But I could probably just get a Steam Deck. How does Steam Deck work? Can you play Steam Deck on an airplane offline? Does PlayStation have a Steam Deck equivalent? Is it good? Yes, but you need to be online for the PlayStation one. Ooh. Damn. Okay. Well, maybe I'm just cursed because I might have to just go hard as fuck and try to beat this game in the next couple days. Um, does anyone? I wonder how long it is. Yeah. The game isn't going anywhere. You can play it whenever. Yeah, actually, pretty true. Max, are you going to Thunder on the River or just for the race? I don't know. I mean, that's gonna be her time to like meet my family, so maybe we'll do some stuff like that. We've done stuff like that multiple times in my life. We used to do it every year. I'm not sure. Oh, I also need to get like a. I need to. I don't know if I need to get a Kentucky Derby outfit. Everyone's wearing suits, but I was thinking of wearing khakis and like a real fancy ass polo. Like it looks straight up out of like what someone would have wore at the Kentucky Derby in like the 30s, like this polo. Wait, what's the weather gonna be like? Louisville weather derby. The Louisville weather for the Kentucky Derby is currently predicted to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, with temperatures ranging to high 60s and low 70s. I mean, I don't care if there's thunderstorms, baby, because we got that fancy ass box. We got some shit over our head. You're. Bro, I took my girlfriend out to LA when I played a festival and my family hated her. It was such an L trip, lol. I mean, if you think about it though, your girlfriend, any long term girlfriend, has to meet your family anyway. And if the family and the girlfriend don't vibe, and maybe this is a hot take, I think there's a strong chance that the relationship doesn't make sense. I know some people have really weird relationships with their family though, but if you like have a family that you're close with, like this is how I feel. Bro, if I'm dating someone and then they met my family and all of them came out of that situation with like not great vibes about the person, I don't know if it would be raps like right then and there, but I feel like eventually it would just definitely be. Like your family knows, you know? But I'm positive they'll like her. She's great. Great. I love going to the Derby. It's a great event, and I love to gamble. Oh boy, you should try gotcha games. By the way, you could just ruin your life real quick. Let's go. I feel like if your family doesn't like your girlfriend, your family actually just doesn't like you. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's. Well, I mean, it could be true. Like maybe your family just hates everyone you're with because you don't have a great relationship with your family. But like, I feel like it's totally possible for you to be like deeply in love with someone and looking past all their red flags and it turns out they're not great, especially when you're young and you don't know what you want as much, and then your family meets them and obviously doesn't have those feelings towards them, so they're just like objectively judging them based on who they are, and they're just not a fan, you know? I feel like that's like totally fair. Some relationships just don't work out. It's not that deep. So true. She was basically just super nervous and standoffish. The whole trip frazzled her. I played this rave festival and she was freaked out and met my family. It was just an L. She wanted to go home. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess it's also possible that just like bad circumstances, bad first impression, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I didn't mean to say like, you know, she's not. I'm sure she's great. All good. All good. I just meant in general. You feel me? You're. Is the potty C up? Ooh, some news about the potty C. We were going to record maybe last night at 10, but I was like, I wasn't able to make it, and then we weren't able to make it the previous day, and then Dratnos is gone all weekend. So I think we're recording Monday at this point, but then I'm also going to be gone for 2 weeks, and I don't know if they're going to just get someone to replace me, which would make a lot of sense. But I know on Monday we're recording the podcast, and we're recording a shitload of bonus content. So, like, Podyssey patrons, y'all are going to be eaten. But I don't know if they're going to take 2 weeks off or get a, like, replacement person. Dorky's also doing MDI. Yo, speaking of MDI, what is the who qualified for that? Let's see what we got here. Oh, there's why is this so? Can I like expand? Can I? I'm so confused. Click time trials teams. Okay. Oh, cool. So Wunderbar, we have Gingy and Now and Click, so 3 members of OG Echo, and then Spasmer 1337, who I don't know, and Whippy Q, who I don't know. Although those might just be their actual names. I don't know that they're. That's Kush. Okay, so OG Echo plus Kush, and then who's Whippy Q? It's just a new healer. That's really interesting that... Wait, is it a new Echo healer? Or is it like... not Echo? Oh, that's really interesting that basically a full Echo team got a healer that wasn't an Echo healer when, like, if I remember, like, basically every Echo healer just does the MDI. But maybe they had other commitments to other teams. Some really young kid... 19 or 20. Oh, well, I mean, that's... Well, if that person owns, then probably free invite to Echo. All right, mandatory. Is this... Let's see if this is the same group. So Stove, Maystein, Mode, Skylark. Yeah, it seems like the same group as last season. Missed count. This is the AJ, Kira, Yargi. Okay. So it looks like there's 3 groups that are like kind of a step ahead of... Oh, wow. Echo's smurfing. Holy. Look at that. Only 3 teams got 41. And then Echo gapped time by 1.5 minutes over even mandatory. That's fucking... That's crazy baller. That's sick. I think Echo and mandatory both had the Priory tech. What is the Priory tech? Max, did you hear what happened to the guild after they bought the galley ID for 82 million gold? No, I didn't. But hopefully they killed the boss and got their gold's worth. Mirez brain. Oh, is Mirez 6th manning for them or something? That's pretty OP. All right, who's Holy Method? Thaner, Andy, Fragnance, Wexy, and Wildy. Okay. That's pretty good. Perplexed, Divine, Zasevi, Tobo, Wolf Disco. Wait, this is turning into like a fucking liquid team. Wonder how much they played. All right, 07 is Shelly, Dr. J, Drogo, Roybin. Okay. Comment vous? No idea who these people are. Ducks can fly. Seen these before. Physical god comp. Oh, you gotta respect that. Did they actually play physical god comp? I actually want to see what the comps are in a second. I'm not saying that Mirez is the best WoW player, but if I was starting a team or guild, my first pick would always be Mirez. I don't think that's a bad take. I said that before. Like, someone said, what would happen if, like, there was a fantasy draft, basically, for the Race to World first? Like, where would you take people? Like, Like, how early would you take like me or Scripe or Roger, and like how early would you take players versus like leadership and stuff? And then my take was I'm pretty sure Mirez would be the number one pick. I think because like just extremely smart and like a really consistent good player. You're kind of getting like the best of both worlds with one pick, if that makes sense. I think that's a good take. Mirez is a fucking beast. Also, great vibe guy. Marcus Malarkis. Yup, the fucking closer. All right, Polish Mountain unaware. Suspicious activities. Drive pug. Prepare to kite. Whatever this name is. Yurt. And RCG. Wait, where the fuck is Dorky? Didn't Dorky say he's doing MDI? Is he not? Goated is his team. Has Timber Maw? Oh, is it Picarino? Wait, is Yip's team not playing? Damn. That kind of stinks. Why is Yip's team not playing? Yips and Boomy. I actually feel like they'd be fucking sick if they put time in. Yips was in goated but dropped. Yips was on that team. Oh, that makes sense. Like if there was gonna be a liquid team that just had like full liquid raiders, fully committed to liquid raiders fully committed to like being a dungeon team, like actually putting the time in high keys, actually practicing, trying to win, they would be like Yips tank, Boomy, just that combo. And then it depends on probably the meta of the season, and there's a lot of other people that could fill those other 3 slots, but I feel like that would be so good with experience though. Like zero chance anyone could probably compete at that level in their first tournament. But like, bro, give them some time. Those are some absolute fucking gamers. What is it? I don't think that team would be competitive due to experience. Those two would have way more efficient practice. Yeah, I mean, I've felt that myself. In a previous MDI. Your practice is this. Once you're practicing slower than someone else, you've already lost. Do a Race to World first draft on the podcast? Nah. Race to World first draft, like actually doing it, is complete nonsense content because no one knows how good anyone in any other guild besides the one you're in is. So then you're basically just doing a Race to World first draft based on aura. Which does kind of go hard, but I mean, people would just take it the wrong way. What are the actual like comps people are running? Okay, so full Vengeance Demon Hunter seems like exclusively balanced Druid, Unholy DK Arcane Mage. Okay, and then interestingly, multiple teams are running a Resto Druid and a Balanced Druid, which is fascinating. Which means they believe those specs are actually both BIS completely regardless of Mark of the Wild, which is insanely strong. Like for that to be true of both of them is that's so crazy. And then they play Giga Chad Disc Priest, which is good. So they have Fort in their keys, which is nice. Only for that dungeon though. What's the other dungeon? Oh, full disc. Is it just that Resto HPS is just like seemingly what you think you need to just kill the last boss? Third boss? Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's the healing check on the Candle King. Well, what's the point of killing Og if the meta is still hard stuck at 3 classes? Isn't that the funny thing? Like, basically all of the not all but most of the hatred around Og was just purely that it was bis for too long. Because like people haven't been complaining about Og recently, except for just making fun of how bad it is, because they don't have to think about it. It's not taking their dungeon spot. People are just trying to make it about a bunch of other shit, though. There's way more comp diversity now than with Og. In high keys, yeah. But it's not surprising that, like, in the MDI, it's still, like, basically you play one comp. It'll always be that. It turns out, like, it's that astronaut meme. Like, wait, there's a meta, like, always has been thing. Like, that it's just, that's just how the meta works, you know? The Fizz comp is so funny. Where's the Fizz God comp at? What is it? That's not true at all. You can now replace one of these 3 classes more easily, and you don't have to worry about classes that are bad with Og, like Outlaw. Okay, my point. I'm not saying that like the difference between the meta comp and the next closest thing isn't smaller or larger. I'm just saying usually when you start doing the very, very hardest content competitively, you will usually narrow it down to a comp or like maybe one alteration. That's just how it'll always be. The difference between those can change, like when there's worse balance, like God comp in season 2 of Dragonflight, right? The like Guardian Druid, like the Guardian Druid, what was it? Guardian Druid, Shadow Priest, Mage, Holy Paladin, and Og, right? Like that was the comp. Like, and how much better that was than everything else. Like sometimes the best comp is way better, and sometimes it's like pretty comparable, and there's a lot of moving parts, but it still is the same that there's always kind of going to be a meta at the highest level. There's always going to be a comp. That's not an Og problem. Like there have been comps in the past that before Og even existed that were still like a key level better than everything else. Like do you remember like Blood DK? I don't even remember what the healer was, but the end of Shadowlands, like the Blood DK Survival Hunter Destro Lock thing. Like you could have ran 2 Destro Locks or 2 Survival Hunters. You could have maybe threw a Mage in there, maybe threw a Windwalker like early season, but like you probably just wanted more of those things. Or like how good triple Rogue was back in the day, or triple Hunter, or triple Monk. Remember triple Windwalker Monk? It was just like they had no weaknesses in Legion. Season 4 Shadowlands was also Mickey Mouse single dev YOLO balance. It wasn't a single dev, it was just a few, but yeah. Ben, Shark, Yoda, Triple Outlaw back in the day. Dude, I don't think I've ever seen a bigger gap on anyone on any spec than Ben was at Windwalker in Legion. Like I've never seen, just like within the people in my guild or within the people that I play with, I've never seen someone be so much better than everyone else than Ben was at Windwalker than everyone else. Dude was fucking insane. What can you do so different when the rotation is figured out? Bro, PvE is so hard. Just like, first of all, Windwalker, playing Windwalker optimally in Legion was like, especially with like old Mark of the Crane, was just very involved. But yeah, there's just like an infinite skill cap in PvE. So you notice, even between two very good players, you still notice like differences for sure. Let me see if Evan's gonna make it today. I remember that MDI and can confirm Ben the green bar was bigger than the other green bar. So true, dude. So true. All right, I'm kind of reading my phone and like fucking off. Is there any other important shit today before I fade into the nether? Did you already yap about new Dinars? Yep. Yeah, I did. Could there ever be a future where we start quantifying player skill like with advanced baseball like stats? Probably not at this point, but like I feel like people do that in League a little bit because League is just a more paid attention to like esport and game as far as like skills concerned. But if people cared enough about the race and there was more easily available information, I would like to see someone try to break that down because I think it's just so complicated it basically can't be. But yeah, I mean, truly the only thing in this game, you just have to play with someone to know how good or bad they are, really. There's too many intangibles. How turbo nerfed do you think this raid is going to be? Oh, that's actually a good point. So this raid has already a super easy last boss. They've been pretty actively nerfing every fight. And then on top of that, we get a stacking raid buff, which this is like the second patch in Modern WoW where we've gotten a stacking raid buff. And then also we're getting our eye level turbo boosted. I mean, so combination of turbo boost, 18% buff, weak boss, like not as powerful bosses and nerfs, like yeah, definitely should be a easier cutting edge, but like cutting edge is usually I think just a battle of attrition. It's just being in the raid and doing it and raiding enough. There's just a certain amount of hours where basically like the average mythic raider, if you just put that in, you're just gonna get cutting edge. Bandit gonna be puggable? No comms mythic bandit sounds like something that should never be attempted, even with significant nerfs. We're talking, guys, we're not talking right now. We're talking like what is going to be possible in this patch, not like right now. Because you are going to gain a lot of power, but like bandit's just hard, bro. There's so much specific things that need to happen. No coordination sprocket will be a shit show. I mean, there is some coordination. You know, like there's even in heroic, there's like pretty easy ways to assign the mines. Oh, but mythic, the colors, dude. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna go blow up. I'll see you guys later. Have fun.